Hey everyone, and welcome to Tactical Inc., your portal to the captivating realm of all things Lorcana. I'm Alex.
And I'm Bradley. Today we're going to go over cards that got better and cards that got worse from the past sets. And we'll also talk about cards that may get better with future sets as well. Now these aren't the only cards out there, but these are the ones that we felt that should get mentioned.
Alright, let's kick it off by looking at the cards that got better from the first two sets due to the release of the Into the Inklands.
So starting off with Amber, I chose the Queen Commanding Presence. The Queen is an Amber character that costs 5 ink and is inkable. She has 4 strength and 3 willpower, 2 lore. She is a Floodborn, Villain, and Queen with Shift 2. She has the effect, Who is the Fairest? It says, whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -4 strength this turn, and chosen character gets +4 strength this turn. So Into the Inklands introduced us to locations. 15 out of 18 of them have 5 or more willpower, so they can be hard to take out. So the Queen's effect of boosting a character by 4 strength proves to be really helpful to destroying locations earlier than most cards can do, due to her Shift 2 ability.
Looking into Amethyst, a card that I believe got better this go around is Jafar, Keeper of Secrets. He costs 4 ink and is inkable, with 0 strength, 5 willpower, and 2 lore. His ability, Hidden Wonders, says this character gets +1 strength for each card in your hand. Basically, this is one of the best shift targets, going on to Jafar Striking Illusionist. His high willpower survives most things to stay on the board until you shift him. Your deck is naturally going to draw a lot of cards, so his strength is most likely going to be high as well.
And that's one thing I've noticed playing with my Jafar deck, is that using Jafar Lamp Thief and Jafar Royal Vizier means low willpower, where Fire the Cannons can destroy them, or even worse, you have both out, a Grab Your Swords kills them both. Jafar Keeper of Secrets and Jafar Wicked Sorcerer both have that higher willpower to survive a lot more of your opponent's cards. Moving on to Emerald, my choice was Beast Relentless. Beast is an Emerald character that costs 6 ink and is inkable. He has 4 strength and 5 willpower with 2 lore. He is a Storyborn, Hero, and Prince, with the effect Second Wind. It says, whenever an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character. So, Beast is something we've talked about in previous videos, and he's already a great card. But it just got several times better. We see several more cards introduced that deal damage in different ways, but the biggest one has to be Sheriff of Nottingham. His ability to deal massive amounts of damage in one turn means several times that Beast can quest. Be prepared to see that combo around as you play, especially in tournaments.
Yeah, be prepared. So if you are running Be Prepared, you probably want to play it as soon as you see Beast Relentless. Looking at Ruby, the card that continues to get better and has been obvious since locations were first announced is Maui Hero to All. Maui is a Ruby character that costs 5 and is inkable. He has 6 strength, 5 willpower, and 0 lore. He's a Storyborn hero and deity with Rush and Reckless. Quickly taking down powerful locations makes Maui more relevant than ever. He can also remove many new characters like Robin Hood's Floodborn and Kita's Floodborn. Expect to see him in basically every Ruby deck that you play against.
And I absolutely love Maui. Ever since Chapter 1, I've been very high on this card. Almost 500 characters and locations fall to one swing with this guy, making him a great reliable removal option. Pair it with something like Pinocchio Talkative Puppet, and take down something your opponent doesn't want removed. Continuing to Sapphire, I chose Belle, Strange but Special. Belle is a Sapphire character that costs 4 ink and is inkable. She has 2 strength, 4 willpower, and 1 lore. She is a Storyborn, Hero, and Princess. She has 2 effects, the first being Read a Book. It says, during your turn, you may put an additional card from your hand into your inkwell face down. Her second effect is called My Favorite Part. It says, while you have 10 or more cards in your inkwell, this character gets +4 lore. If you run a lot of songs, Mama Odie, Mystical Maven, can have 1 or 2 extra ink in a turn, getting you to Belle's lore boost earlier. Use the song Friend Like Me and immediately get 3 steps closer to that 10 ink total. Another great card to boost Belle is Grandma Tala, Spirit of the Ocean. who gains you 1 lore for each time you put a card into your inkwell. Belle's effect will make you do that twice per turn even.
Yeah, Into the Inklands, I think we're seeing a big focus in Sapphire on ramping more than we're seeing like it was last set on items, and it's nice to see that. It's nice to see all that ramp having a lot of payoff now with Grandma and also with Belle. Lastly, for cards that have improved, we have Steel, and this choice was the easiest of them all. It is, of course, A Whole New World. A Whole New World is a Steel action song that costs 5 and is uninkable. Its effect says each player discards your hand and then each player draws 7 cards. This song was already amazing and now it's so much better. Jafar striking Illusionist is the biggest reason, because singing this song will net you 7 lore. But that's not the only thing A Whole New World has going for it. Sheriff of Nottingham loves this card for dealing damage. Amber loves this card more than ever, because it makes Chernobog cheaper to play. For so many reasons, this is now one of, if not the very best, card in the whole game.
And this is going to be one of those cards that people will continue saying, should it be banned? That should speak to the power of this card, and I love it.
Moving on to the next section, we're going to talk about cards that were playable, but since Into the Inklands has been released, you may not see them around anymore.
So, the card I chose for Amber is Doc, Leader of the 7 Dwarfs. Doc is a 3-cost Amber character that is inkable. He has 2 strength and 3 willpower, and 2 lore. He is a Storyborn ally and 7 dwarfs, with the effect Share and Share alike. It says, whenever this character quests, you may pay 1 less for the next character you play this turn. So don't get me wrong, this is still a good card. However, we now have Pluto, Friendly Pooch, something that comes out 2 turns earlier and can make your characters cost 1 less. Will it replace Doc completely? I don't think so, since Doc gives lore while making characters cheaper. I do think Pluto will replace Doc just to speed up their gameplay.
Yeah, when I've looked into building some potential Amber decks in this set, I have definitely considered Pluto a lot more than Doc. However, I will mention that you could play Pluto on turn 1, and then on turn 2 play Doc. That way, on turn 3, you can now play a 5-cost character. Moving on to Amethyst, the card that I see being much less relevant now is the Queen Wicked and Vain. She is a 5-ink Amethyst character who has 4 strength, 5 willpower, and 1 lore, and the ability I Summon Thee, which says exert this character and draw a card. Now, she wasn't even seen as often in Rise of the Floodborn as she was in the first chapter, but now I think she's going to be completely gone, sadly. And the reason for this is Maleficent, Mistress of All Evil. Maleficent basically has the same effect, which whenever she quests allows you to draw a card. So she does what the Queen does while also gaining you some more lore, and she has an additional ability to move damage counters around. Yes, she has a lower willpower, but I don't think that's going to make a huge impact because it's still 3 willpower, which is slightly harder to take down than some things.
So for Emerald, I chose The Beast Is Mine. This is an Emerald action card that costs 3 to play and is inkable. It says, chosen character gains Reckless until the end of the turn. So, one card basically makes this card not even worth it, and it's Lyle Tiberius Rourke. So he's a character, but with the effect of The Beast Is Mine on it. However, it even has an additional effect on top of that, making opponents lose lore. Tie him together with bounce mechanics, and he is a lot better than this action.
Moving on to Ruby, I'm predicting that Lady Tremaine Imperious Queen may fall in power because of Madame Medusa. Lady Tremaine is a Ruby character that costs 6 and is uninkable. She has 3 strength, 4 willpower, and 2 lore. She's a Floodborn villain and queen with shift 4. She has the effect Power to Rule at Last that says, when you play this character, each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. So Medusa is also a 6-ink uninkable character that banishes a character with strength of 3 or less. But the key difference here is that you get to choose what is banished, and I think that might be what makes the difference.
And with Medusa, even though it's 3 strength or less, that's over 350 characters. And there are ways to bring stronger ones down by pairing it with cards like the Queen Commanding Presence, lowering a stronger character's power low enough to be banished by Medusa. Moving on to Sapphire, I chose Sisu, Divine Water Dragon. Sisu is a Sapphire character that costs 4 and is uninkable. She has 2 strength and 4 willpower with 2 lore. She is a Storyborn, Hero, Deity, and Dragon, with the effect I Trust You. It says, whenever this character quests, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may put 1 into your hand, put the rest on bottom of your deck in any order. So, Grandma Tala, Keeper of Ancient Stories, can have this same effect when she is played. So she gets her effect off quicker and it's guaranteed to go off. Where Sisu has to wait a whole turn before she can activate this effect. So in my opinion, this makes Tala just a better option.
That's not even to mention that Grandma Tala has a shift option that comes in on the very next turn, where Sisu doesn't have any sort of Floodborn shift character as of yet. Well, a lot of steel cards got better with Into the Inklands, but one of them that might lose value is Benja, Guardian of the Dragon Gem. Benja is a steel character that costs 3 and is inkable. He has 2 strength, 3 willpower, and 2 lore. He's a Storyborn, Mentor, and King, with the effect We Have a Choice, that says when you play this character you may banish chosen item. For one thing, I don't believe item decks are going to be quite as competitive in the new metagame, and I may be wrong here. However, there's also several new item removals that could take Benja's place, such as the Bare Necessities, Rise of the Titans, Wildcat Mechanic, and Has My Heart.
And I'm seeing a few people sneak a few like Sorcerer Spellbook or Sleepy Flute every now and then, but locations also add lore and can give effects, making them most of the time more useful. Maybe if the Magicka Dispel deck ever gets going, we can see more Benja being played.
Alright, this brings us to our last section, what may improve. In this section we talk about cards that we think may get better as the next set after Into the Inklands is released, and even the sets beyond that. So Bradley, what would you consider to be a card that will improve in Amber?
So I chose Chernabog, Evil Doer. So he is an Amber character that costs 10 and is uninkable. He has 9 strength and 9 willpower with 3 lore. He is a Storyborn and villain. He has 2 effects, the first being the Power of Evil. It says, for each card in your discard, you pay 1 less ink to play this character. His second effect is called Summon the Spirit. It says, when you play this character, shuffle all character cards from your discard into your deck. So with Chernabog, I think he's a character that will improve over time, especially if we get some self-mill cards in the future. That is, effects that put cards from the top of your deck into the discard pile. The Queen Disguised Peddler is already a character that helps Chernabog, discarding characters into your discard to get him up quicker. Then you have cards like Simba Future King and Cinderella Knight in Training to draw cards and discard cards, making him even cheaper by adding characters into your discard. And I can't forget to mention that we also got Mickey Mouse Trumpeteer this set that can bring him out for 2 ink. The more cards that come out like this, the more you may see him being played.
I love how Chernabog already has a solid place in the game, where if your opponent plays Be Prepared on all your other characters, that's putting a bunch of cards in your discard to play him really cheap on the next turn. I don't see him going anywhere anytime soon. For Amethyst, a card to watch out for in the future, I think, is Magic Carpet. Magic Carpet is an Amethyst character that costs 2 and is inkable. It has 2 strength, 1 willpower, and 1 lore. It's a Storyborn and ally with Evasive. It has the effect Find the Way that says, exert this character to move a character of yours to a location for free. The more powerful locations that we get, the more this little guy will be useful to get your characters there for free.
And yeah, I'm already a fan of Magic Carpet for the Queen's Castle, helping you get a lot of card draw. Next is Emerald, and I chose Peter Pan Lost Boy Leader. So Peter is an Emerald character that costs 4 and is inkable. He has 3 strength and 3 willpower, with 1 lore. He is a Dreamborn and a hero with the effect called I Came to Listen to the Stories. It says, once per turn, when this character moves to a location, gain lore equal to that location's lore. So as we get more locations, I believe this card will get better and better. And right now, just from looking at the size of the cards, locations seem to get maxed out at 2 lore. However, if they get an effect similar to something like Belle Strange but Special, where you get more lore if you meet a certain criteria, Peter Pan may become a really great card. Keep an eye on him as more and more locations come out in the future.
Now, a Ruby card that I will say is going to keep improving over time is Jim Hawkins' Space Traveler. Jim is a Ruby character that costs 5 and is inkable. He has 4 strength, 4 willpower, and 2 lore. He's a Storyborn and hero with 2 effects. The first one is called This Is It, and it says when you play this character you can play a location with a cost of 4 or less for free. His second one is called Take the Helm, which says whenever you play a location, you may move this character there for free. He's already amazing with this first batch of locations, and this is just going to keep getting better as more locations are released.
Yeah, Jim Hawkins is quickly becoming one of the better cards of this set. And unless they release something that does something similar but better, he will continue to grow into a better and better card.
So what would be your pick in Sapphire?
So my pick would be Aurora, Dreaming Guardian. Aurora is a Sapphire character that costs 5 and is inkable. She has 3 strength and 5 willpower with 2 lore. She is a Floodborn, hero, and princess with shift 3. Aurora's effect is called Protective Embrace. It says your other characters gain ward. So we've seen a lot of cards that target your characters to make them useless or even banish them. Aurora can put a stop to that for the characters you need. Jafar Striking Illusionist is a good example of this. You either want to keep your lower level Jafars alive so you can shift onto them, or if you have no shift options, keep Jafar alive for 1 turn to use this effect the next turn. We do have the location Fang that gives your characters ward and evasive. However, you have to pay 2 ink for each character placed there. And I think Aurora may just get better as time goes on, especially since we are getting more and more targeting effects.
And my pick for Steel as a card that will improve is the Map of Treasure Planet. It is a steel item that costs 3 and is inkable. It has 2 effects. The first is called Key to the Portal, which says exert this item to pay 1 less ink for the next location you play this turn. The second is called Show the Way. It says you pay 1 less to move characters to a location. Now, all the cards that I've picked that may improve, they all deal with locations, and this one's no exception. We're just scratching the surface with this mechanic, and the map is going to be a key card for location-themed decks as the time goes on.
And 2 things here to note is 1, if they release more cards like Audrey Ramirez that can ready your items you've already used, the map can be playing a lot of locations or even some for free. And another thing is if you have multiple Map of the Treasure Planets out, that means your locations will get even cheaper and it will cost less ink to move your characters to a location.
Well, that's all for today. What cards do you think have gotten better or worse? And what do you think will improve? Tell us in the comments below.
And be sure to follow us on social media to keep up to date on the latest Tactical Ink news. And also be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can tune in every Friday for a new episode of Tactical Ink.
See you next week.